So I was able to spend some time with one of our lead therapists here, and as we were talking, she was writing out a lot of great stuff came up, and the theme of this is supporting a loved one in recovery. And so I wanted to share with you some of the things that not only do we do here, but also that we want to get out there so people are aware of what we can do to help as a loved one to support them. And so these steps are to help communicate with your loved one that you're being proactive in their recovery, and that moving forward, you're going to be with them thinking more forward as opposed to dwelling completely on the past. So many times, so much damage has been done in the past that we tend to bring that in to almost every interface that we have with that individual, and that becomes really damaging. So as we're able to collectively come together with our loved one, now we're looking to the future of what is now in the present, but also of what is to come and what that looks like. And so here are some steps that you can do if your loved one is in treatment, that you can do to support them and let them know that you are there to support them. So one of the number one things is to call them often and just ask how they're doing. Understand not having a hidden agenda, but to just to genuinely connect with them and find out how they're doing, to listen and ask questions about what they're learning, how they're applying it, how they feel. Here's some examples. If they're sharing some stuff by saying, I really hear you're trying, or I hear you're doing a great job. It sounds like you're learning a lot of different tactics there, or you're learning a lot about your disease and growth. And if anything starts to come up, go ahead and just remind yourself, I'm here to support. I'm just simply here to support. Another great phrase is I'm glad to hear you're doing your best, or I want what's best for you. This shows that there is that love, that connection there without wanting anything in return. And then towards the end of your conversation is asking, is there anything else that I can do to support you, or how can I support you in this process even more so? This shows a genuine care. Again, not bringing stuff from the past, and that's a tough part being a loved one, because typically we are on 100% of the receiving end of all the bad stuff that happens when a person's active in their addiction, but being there to support them while they're getting help. So any statements that show of curiosity, support, understanding, or empathy really help. So that's one idea. Another one is you want to help your loved one focus on what they can do here and now, or even in the near future, to work on their recovery and not dwell too much on the past mistakes. Again, one thing that we do as human beings is we tend to dwell so much on the past, and it can be a beneficial thing, but in treatment, especially in the new stages, we want to stay away from bringing up too much stuff in the past. And so by being present, what's going on now, how they're feeling, working through, more often than not, they're already dwelling on their own mistakes and all the disappointment that they brought onto the family. And so our goal is to emphasize the hope and the proactiveness of change and how proud we are and staying really present in the moment. So here's an example. We are so relieved to hear that you're in treatment now. We want you to focus on what you need to learn to stay sober, and we are 100% behind you. We love you. Sometimes that's really difficult. I do know that. Another example is if your loved one seems upset by yet another relapse. We do see that from time to time where there's just constant relapses. We want to remind the individual that although this is part of the process, it means there's still some core work that needs to be done. We want to support them to get to that core as quickly as possible, especially if relapsing has been going on for a while. There's a saying, relapsing is part of the program. It depends who's saying it and where it's coming from. I don't believe it has to be part of the program. It is for a lot of people. But when that happens, that's just a signal. It's a signal saying, hey, there's still something going on that we need to check out. Think of it like your car dashboard. When you're driving down the line and the check engine light comes on, it doesn't mean, oh my gosh, the whole world is ending. It also doesn't mean, oh, just keep driving and ignore it. It means, hey, you want to assess what's going on because it means there's something there, maybe something simple to fix, maybe something that, hey, you really got to get in there, but it's a signal. That's what I want you to take away from it. And so we're looking for a commitment and readiness to break that old pattern. And once a person comes to the terms of they see these consistent relapses and they're completely open and saying, man, I really need to work through this and change, that's typically where we can see that breakthrough happen. So we look at it as an opportunity to look at what's missing in their program. Again, it doesn't mean a get out of jail free card. Some people call it a free lapse. It doesn't mean that. It means, hey, there's still some work to do. Where are you in this conversation, in this journey? Are you open to it? Also, there's natural consequences. Another thing that we encourage people to look for is, are they accepting of the natural consequences? Are they still trying to skate by, or do they say, oh, I gotta raise my hand, I messed up. I'm taking accountability, I'm being open about it and honest, I'm accepting the consequences, I really wanna move forward. Where do we go from here? That's a wonderful sign. Next up is, we don't want to share our anger or anxiety with our loved one early on in treatment. It may not always be avoidable. I've heard a lot of the conversations on the phone blow up very quickly and we have to go in and do some damage control. But to be aware of it when it starts to come up, it's important you find your own resources outside while supporting their ups and downs as well as my ups and downs. I am taking all my past pain and bringing it into conversations, whether it's conscious or unconscious. So as I start feeling that emotion, I need to be aware of that so I can check myself and understand I'm here to support. This is their time for their growth. And as it's coming up, I like having a little notepad by the phone. And as I'm experiencing emotions, I'm just writing it down. Oh, I got triggered when this person said this. I got triggered when they said this. So once the conversation is done, I'm there present for my loved one. And then once the conversation is done, I have my items that I need to work on. Because remember, it's not what happens that has the control, it's the meaning we attach to it. This is just the stimulus. It's the meaning we attach to that stimulus that affects us either positively or negatively or indifferent. So next one, or here are some examples really quick. When you are talking on the phone is, I really want to hear about how you're doing or what you're doing. And then if it comes up, yes, I'm disappointed in the relapse and how it happened, but I'm really more afraid of your health and safety. I love that example because see how it actually addresses the emotion. Instead of the, how did you relapse, to the blame, we say, yes, I'm disappointed. However, my concern is your safety or what this means to the kids or whatever's going on, and we're able to share that authentic concern as opposed to that blame game, because that doesn't do anything. And then, let's see, we've got a few more here. If your loved one complains, which tends to happen quite a bit, especially early in recovery, we want to help them turn the complaint into a request. When I hear a complaint, it's simply a request that is not recognized at the time. We call it a tragic attempt to meet an unmet need. And so, if that happens, here are some ways that you can say it. I hear you're upset, but I want to know what we can do about it. Or I can hear you're frustrated, but I want to know what types of solutions that you're thinking of. Or how can we make this better? Or what can we change about this? Again, by staying present, not getting sucked into the tangent or the manipulation if there is any, but staying on point. Another great idea is ask your loved one if there's anything you can help them to do in order to problem solve. Thank them for sharing and remind them they can talk to you at any time. Again, I'm hoping you can see this underlying theme of really being aware and being present. If I'm bringing up my baggage or my pain or frustration or throwing it in, because a lot of the times there's going to be rawness on both sides. And so by recognizing it and by staying present of saying, I really want to be part of the solution. I'm here to support you. And going back to that frontal cortex we talked about a few videos back, the prefrontal cortex where the logic takes place, all that stuff, as opposed to that fight or flight. The biggest goal is to stay in control, to take a couple deep breaths and to stay present no matter what they say or what's going on, because it's not about us, it's about them. If you hear a loved one say or do something that doesn't sound right to you, that maybe they've used questionable judgment in making a decision, you want to be aware of that. Not necessarily shy away and going, well, I don't want to cause any rift or ripples in the water. That's not healthy either, but we also don't want to jump down and attack. So here's a couple ideas. I understand you want to work out that way, but have you considered A, B, or C? It's not for us to say you better do this or don't do that. It's, I can hear this is important to you. Have you thought about this, or have you thought about some other alternatives? Another one that we use quite a bit is, hey, that sounds like a great goal. What are some initial steps you can take to get started? Because it sounds like the outcome you want there might be different ways to reach that outcome. So anything that helps with that problem-solving mindset, even if it's questionable judgment. And then also, we like stating a lot of the time, hey, have you talked to your sponsor about that, or other people in the program, and what kind of feedback are you getting? And a lot of the times when we get this, oh, I haven't talked to my sponsor or other people, that's where it's, well, then that might be a red flag for you. Are you aware of why you haven't had that conversation yet? Or if they do and say, yes, I did, what did they say? Yeah, they said it's a horrible idea. Okay, and you're still thinking about acting on that? Yeah. Well, what can I do to help support of maybe looking at their viewpoint a little deeper? So one of the most difficult things, so we spend the first half of our kid's life parenting, and then the second half unparenting. The unparenting part is probably the most difficult. And so as we have young adults in addiction, a lot of it is unparenting, and just sitting there and listening and let them know, I love you unconditionally. And there's so much pain of hearing these choices. I want to know what I can do to help look at this from a different perspective or a different angle. So those are a couple ideas. We got one more here that we went over, and here it is. Let them know that they are loved and that you miss them, and you'll be thinking of them every single day. Remember, when we're new in recovery and we're at a place, usually it's far from home, we don't even know anybody, it is scary. Then when you put all of the different aspects of the addiction on top of that, there's a lot of fear of the unknown. And so by letting them know, I'm so proud of you, I love you, it sounds like you're doing a lot, we support you, we're here for you. Even if they say they don't want to hear it, it plants those seeds that begin to germinate, and when they are ready, when they start getting deeper in therapy, when they get to some of those core issues, it comes up, they know, hey, I'm not here to judge, I've made mistakes in our relationship as well, I'm open to feedback and I want to grow through this as well. That's when we know it's a mutual win-win, and those are the best case situations that we see come out of it, is when we start removing the blame, we look internally, we start healing from within. It's incredible what we can do. I hope this little guideline helps with some things that you can do to support a loved one in treatment.